If there's one thing we've learned about business and life, it's that people are the X factor. They constantly surprise us, both in amazing ways and not so much. We're Ben and Syya, and welcome to the Gnaw on This Business Bites podcast. This show is all about real life things we all deal with every day, how they relate to business, and how to make some sense out of our daily chaos. Welcome to the show. And welcome back to another episode of Gnaw on This Business Bites. I'm Ben, and this is Syya. And we're going to extend last week's conversation again. And we're going to talk about why empathy is a business superpower. You know, empathy is one of those things, everybody looks at it as a soft skill. To me, it's a vital skill. If we don't care about people, they're not going to care about us. If we don't care about people's programs, they're not going to care about our programs. If you don't care about people's business goals, they're not going to care whether they give you the budget for yours or not. We need to be empathetic to a level of where we're sitting there going, you know what? It's not just about me. It's not about me all the time. It's not about my needs, my wants, my desires, my fears, my goals, my aspirations. Yes, all those are important. But if we're not empathetic, if we don't care about other people, and if we're not trying to find out more about them, they're never, ever, ever going to care about supporting us. So, Syya, let's gnaw on this.
Look, we know people. By the way, it's total side note. I say look a lot, and you say we need to. And I think it's hilarious because it's like it matches each other. But anyway, it's our way of pointing out certain things, right? Or emphasizing. And I cannot emphasize this more. If you want to be perceived as someone that is giving, as a giver, as well as a taker, you must master the art of lending an empathetic ear. We're not saying sympathy in the context of you too feel that pain and blah, 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 blah. But at least you understand that pain and you work with it, right? And
empathy isn't sympathy.
Exactly. Well, one feels truly of your emotion and the other one understands the emotion, right? And this all goes back to listening to who you're at the other half of the conversation, whether it's a client, whether it's an interdepartmental business person, it's your business partner, it is whomever else, right? Whoever's on the other end of that exchange. If you have, again, that curiosity to learn just a little bit more about their motivation, about what is this conversation about, it will foster that empathetic vibe of like, oh, this person wants to listen to me, right? They're present for it. I'm going to now feel like I'm being heard and listened to. And isn't that at the root of all business, is to feel like they're heard so you can develop that relationship, so you can trust, right? That person, so you can conduct whatever business is, help them solve a business challenge that they can trust that you're actually understanding what that business challenge is for them. I mean, or sometimes it might not be business challenge. Okay, you know what? I'm just going to say it. It just might simply be, I need to save my job, dude. And if you want me to stay in this particular role, I need you to help me save my job. It could be something as base as that, right? And so that is, again, if you have empathy for that person that needs that help, right, to keep their job, it'll go a heck of a long way. And And I do think, and though I do say this, I do think humans are inherently selfish. I said it because we are. But if we channel it in a way where, again, that karma comes back to you, I think it goes so much further. So yes, I see a lot of selfish people. And yeah, some of them are still, quote, successful in life because of their selfishness. But let me tell you, when they walk out of that room, the words that are being said about them, I wouldn't want that legacy.
It's interesting. In a previous life, I played a lot of business golf, like 80, 100 rounds a year of business golf.
Too much.
Enormous amount of business golf. It was great because somebody else was paying for it, so it was perfect. But I never, ever, ever talked business on the golf course.
Mm,
It was all about finding out about people's, families, finding out about their aspirations, their hobbies, what other things are involved in, the charities they belong to, social groups that they belong to. What do they drink? What do they smoke? Whatever. It was all about being coming back to the curiosity, but it was being empathetic. It was building up an arsenal of mutual conversation points and being able to build up a level of trust and a level of understanding and a little of mutual touch points. So when we did get onto conversation of business, the trust level was already there
yes.
and the understanding was already there. And it wasn't that I all I wanted was sale. What I already knew them as human beings. I already understood what their back end challenges were, the frustrations that they might have been having with their boss or a coworker or somebody that they managed. I understood their interrelational challenges within the department. I got all that because I listened and because I was empathetic. And I sit there and you know what? That's got to be challenging. What do you mean by this?
Mm-hmm.
And it was going back to, those asking those wonderful questions.
Mm-hmm.
And when you do that, you go from being a transactional, partner with a boss, with an employee, with a vendor, with a client, to being somebody where there is a level of connection. I was just about to say it in Hebrew, but there is those are an important part of empathy. Being empathetic enables you to build that level of trust, that level of understanding, that mutual lexicon that allows you to have conversations beyond price and delivery schedules and whatever. And also when stuff hits the fan, which it always does, there's more to the relationship than just a transaction. And there's a reason for you guys to come back to each other and say, hey, I messed up. How can we work through this together? And I
There's some,
think, go ahead.
yeah, no, I apologize. No, go ahead and finish your thought.
No, no,
Because,
no, I'm done. I'm done.
well, there's something about when you can put your foot in their shoe, whatever that saying is,
Yeah,
right? Like you walk
exactly.
in their walk for a bit. And you understand, where they're coming from. And it may not be a position you can agree with, right? I mean, how many times we've done negotiations, we're like, hey, from our perspective, we think this is a fair deal, right?
Hmm.
But just simply the act of trying to understand, it does
Hmm.
go so much further of being, again, validating that their perspective isn't just insanity, right? Or
Yeah.
pure selfishness. And it could be selfish, don't get me wrong, but it does feel like almost, again, I do feel humans in general by nature is a bit on the tribal side because we want to be part of a
Hmm.
community. So if we can feel like this particular individual is of my genre, right, of my tribe, there's some leniency as well to do things. So maybe you offer a service or a product or your team is deliverable may not be 100% to what they need. The fact that they know that you're trying to aspire, you're trying to
Hmm.
get to the most of it is often satisfactory for that moment in time. I'm not saying you can constantly, brush it underneath the rug, right? But what we're saying is like for the sense of expediency, for the sense of at least satisfying a requirement in that moment in time, it's good, right? And it
Right.
keeps everyone in a positive flow state. And that doesn't happen if it's you make it all about yourself. It doesn't happen if you don't give a rat's about what their problems are or anything else. And the problem is we get into that selfish mode. And I'll give you an example.
Hmm.
I was in sales, worked for a publicly traded company. As far as I was concerned, I was on a 90-day contract every month or every quarter. Okay. Because I had quarterly, numbers
What
I
have you
had to
done
hit.
for me? What have you done for me this quarter? Exactly.
Exactly. And even then it would be like daily at some point. So anyway, we won't talk about that. But again, we get into that rhythm of, oh crap, on crackers. In order for me to keep my job, I need to constantly be churning, forwarding opportunities into money,
Mhm.
blah, 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 right? Well, now you're training bad behavior for your clients who understand a publicly traded company's nuances and needs. And
That's
so
right.
they sandbag until the last minute to be like, okay, vendors, give me your best deals. I've got budget I'd like to spend. Who wants to give me the best deal, right? And at that point, again, that's not empathy. That's just a pure like I don't value you.
Pure transactional relationship. That's all it is.
And that's a problem. And but again, overcoming that is if you are effective in getting them to believe that you're on their team, that you're going to help them be
Yeah.
basically don't get them fired. You know what I mean? That will go way further. It gets you away from that 90-day cycle.
Oh yeah.
So that's why
I'm
I
sure.
argue empathy will win business all day and like hands down.
Oh yeah. I'm sure I've told you this story, but I'm going to tell it again. Years ago, I had a client of mine that was a police department, and I was shortlisted to produce a custom double-sided jacket with, if you turned it inside out, it was reflective. If you turned it right side in, it wasn't. So it was just so people could either, depending on what they needed for the jacket, they could do it that way.
Hmm.
And what we did is we said, look, we're going to have to make a prototype. We need $600 to make the prototype. No problem. We had 6 weeks or 8 weeks or whatever it is to make the prototype. I went and called my vendor in China saying, hey, listen, I'm sending you this stuff. I need you to make me a sample, send it back to me with pricing, da 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 da. Well, the jacket shows up 3 or 4 days before the contract, before the bid closes, and it's wrong. Like
Ugh.
one sleeve is shorter than the other. The
Oh.
zippers aren't what they're supposed to be. This and that, the other thing, and this and that. And I said to
Oof.
them, I said, so I called up the procurement person, and this was a new relationship. And I said, look, I'm two things are going to happen. One, I'm giving you back your $600. I says, I'm going to refund you guys your $600. I'll put it back on the credit card. No problem. That's going to happen today. Number two, I'm taking my name off this bidders list. I says, this jacket that I have is an embarrassment. I don't want you to have to take this thing to a committee and make you look stupid. It says, I'm worried about you. If you need to blacklist me, if you need to blackball me, I totally and absolutely understand it. My vendor let me down. That's not your problem. I'm your problem. If whatever I can do to make sure that you look okay, I'm good with that. This particular vendor did 1.5 million with me over the next 2.5 years.
I love that story. I love that story.
And the reason they did it is because we built a relationship built on trust and empathy.
Hmm.
I did not want this person hanging out to dry and looking stupid to their boss.
So let me ask you this on the details of that. So you couldn't deliver on the thing. Did they have a firm timeline? Was there adjustable? So yeah, he could have looked stupid with that product, like whatever that design was, but did it impact his side of the deliverables of, hey, we were supposed to get a,
It
you
would
know,
have. It would have because what? Well, first of all, there was two other companies.
okay.
There was three companies, so therefore, my jacket just would have looked stupid compared to the other two companies.
Okay. So
And,
okay, so they
and one
did
of the
have
other,
other bids. They
there
had
were other
other.
bids. It
Oh,
wasn't it
okay.
wasn't a sole source bid. It was there's three of us all putting together our best jackets.
Got it.
If it had just been me, if we were sole sourcing it, we would have done this a different way. We would have figured it out.
Got it.
You know, I
You
could have said that the jacket got lost in FedEx. What listen, I need another week to get a jacket made up, da 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 da, and we would have played that game. But since there was three bids and the bid date was this, and it had to be, it was going to committee on that date, and there was 10
no.
people that were going to be in an office looking at these jackets in the state. I needed to recuse myself from the bid.
Gotcha. Okay. So it
And
wasn't like he was hanging dry. He had other
no,
options. Okay,
no,
got
he
it.
had other options. His other option was just not going to be me.
Yeah, got it.
But you're
Or
right.
it could have been nothing at all. That's the other thing, people, is like sometimes no decision is a decision, which I've seen more often than not,
Yeah,
which is frustrating. It's like,
exactly.
thank you for wasting all of our times, but okay, it's good.
So let's land this plane. That says here's my take on it. If you care about people, they'll care about you. If you're empathetic towards other people, real business gets done. Real, needles get moved. Challenges gets fixed. Communication happens. If we're not empathetic, if all we care about is ourselves, if all we care about is our own, private needs, then guess what? We become a transactional vendor to whoever, whether it's internal or external. And you're right, we're on that 90-day sale, 90-day job cycle. And every 90 days we could be looking for another job. So I'm
So
Ben,
I am Syya.
and we'll see you soon.
Hey. Thanks for listening to another episode of Not on This Business Bites. If you liked what you heard, we most humbly ask that you like, share, and hit that subscribe button. And if you want to communicate more effectively within your organization, contact Ben at yourbrandmarketing.com or me at brilliantbeammedia.com. We can help you build your community, brand awareness, and personality through digital content and podcasting. We cannot wait to hear from you. So see you next week for another episode of Not on This Business Bites.